Hi there, I'm Michael, and this is a short video about the equipment for the describer's side in a theatre audio description. Okay. Now, first of all, full disclosure, I am not an audio describer, nor am I a theatre technician, but since January of 2006, it's now March 2015, I've been involved in around 1,000 theatre audio descriptions. Many of them, most of them have gone really well, a few of them have gone less well, and really it's those that teach us, I think. And hopefully if you're watching this, you're interested in providing your blind and partially sighted audience members with the very best possible service. And feel free to disagree with anything I say, but I'm going to share a few of the ways that I've found through working with Vocalize that I think audio description in the theatre is best delivered. Okay, so next thing is, what do I mean by the describer's side? Well, to me, an audio description has two sides to its delivery. There's the describer's side, which is where the describer works and how they interact with the equipment, and then there's the audience side, so in the auditorium, how the description is broadcast and how it's received. So if in talking about the describer's side, the broadcast doesn't matter. The describer's side, I think there's a best way to run things at that end, no matter how you're broadcasting the audio description. So it could be infrared, it could be radio or RF if you're sounding fancy, or even the new Sennheiser Connect system. Doesn't matter. With any of those, basically you need to get your audio description sound feed into something that's going to broadcast it in the auditorium. So the describer side, why does it matter? It matters because however you set the describer side up is key in how the describer works, how they deliver the description. And if you do it in a smart way, you're going to enable your describer to do their very best work. If you do it in a less smart way, the describer will struggle and they'll have to focus more on the technical side and their mode of operation, and focus a bit less on following the script and the show and delivering their description. And the second point is, of course, that whatever happens on the describer side has a direct impact in the auditorium. Sound quality and how pure the audio description feed is. So, now, the describer side, it happens at the description point, and that can be in numerous places in theatres. Ideally, describers most often like to have a live view of the show. So if you have a spare tech booth at the back of the stalls, then that's great. Things to think about are soundproofing, however, because you don't want people at the back of the stalls to hear the description, people from your general audience who are not there for the audio description. And you need to be able to wire things up so that you can broadcast through whatever system you're using. And if you are using a booth, you don't want calls to be coming through. Often there are speakers on the walls with calls coming through regularly. The audience don't want to hear them. They want to be lost in the show. The rest of the audience don't have to hear cues for the show. So don't make the audio description audience listen to those either. The other possibility for the description point is delivering it remotely. So you don't get a live view for the audio describer, you have a monitor and a video feed from the auditorium. But again, that should be a quiet room. You don't want show calls coming through. You don't want people trying to use that office that they're working from during the description, because if you're picking up all this over the microphone and it's been broadcast to the audience member, that's quite distracting when you're trying to enjoy a show. So, other than those two decisions about where the describer works, what equipment is needed? Well, really, I hope that we're all aiming to make audio description as unobtrusive as possible. It's great if it feels for the audio description audience that it's just an integral part of the show and that they don't notice it. That's the best feedback I'm aware of for an audio description. I didn't notice it. I just enjoyed the show. For those 2 hours, I knew what was happening on stage. I could follow along and I was laughing and crying with my friends and family who were there with me. That's what you're looking for. You don't want them to be thinking about the audio description all the time. So how do you make it as unobtrusive as possible? Well, The main way, I would say, is through using one of these. Now this is a headphone microphone set that Describers use that I've just put on, and it's big headphones, go over the ear, and a built-in boom microphone. And why do you need the headphones? Well, again, ideally you don't have a speaker blaring out show relay, show sound during the show to be picked up by the microphone and rebroadcast as a tinny version of the show with an ever so slight delay for the audio description audience to enjoy. No, but the audio describers do need to hear the show because they need to be following along and getting their cues to deliver their description. So, in the headphones, the describers need show relay. Ideally, they should also get fold back from their microphone when it's live. That helps to warn them their microphone is live, but it also helps them to judge the quality of their voice against the show, because describers are always looking for scene sympathy. They don't want to, again, be jarring and highlight the audio description. People often think that maybe description should be delivered in a sort of computer voice, so it's thought to be as neutral. Well, that's not neutral, really. What I think is the best thing to aim for is being in sympathy with the scene, which means if it's a jolly scene, there's a certain jolliness in the voice of the describer. If it's a somber scene, then it's not a jolly voice, because that's jarring if you have that disconnect. And you just want the audio description to blend in. So, the alternative to having the attached boom microphone is basically having a separate microphone. So you have a set of headphones, and then you have what we call a stick microphone, which is mounted somewhere. And that can work okay. The difficulty for the audio describer with that is they are watching the show, they are referring to their script, and they've got these two things going on, and a third thing, which is this stick microphone. And if they're moving around, you get that sense of the movement broadcast over the microphone. Or if they're stationary but slightly off microphone, they'll sound quite distant. Or if they get a bit too close, it'll suddenly sound very booming and loud, and you might get a bit of popping. And that's distracting, because you're making the audience aware of the mechanics of the description and of this other room that's happening in their heads via their headphones. So with the headphone microphone set, you can position this boom microphone at the sound check so it's the right distance, so it's not too close, it's not too far away, and it just stays there. So the describer does not have to think about that again. They can just focus on following the show and delivering their description. Okay? So, in addition to the headphone microphone set, ideally the describer should be able to control the microphone, because there's no need for the audio description audience to be listening to them breathing, turning over their scripts, or whatever other sounds are happening in that room, because it's very rare that you get a really, really quiet room to do an audio description in. So you just want to have the mic up when you're delivering description, and then take it away again. And there are three main ways to control a microphone. One is a button. Now, if you are using a button, I hope it's silent. Very few of them are. You at least get a click. And if you're taking your microphone in and out regularly, which ideally in a way you would be, because often description is delivered in lots of short bursts, the listener has a click in their ear all the time. And it also sort of pre-announces, oh, some audio description on the way. And again, it's highlighting the description, it's taking the audience member out of the show, which should be the focus, and bringing the focus onto the audio description. The worst push button controls sound like gunshots. They really do. So I know one Chekhov play that was audio described, and there's meant to be one gunshot at the end. You use the microphone control, And you've kind of relocated, using the audio description, the play to South Central LA in the 1990s, and it's riddled with gunshots, and you're creating quite a different effect from that intended by Chekhov and the director and the cast and the producer. So be cautious with push buttons. The final issue with push buttons, I would say, is one venue I know, they didn't used to have much show relay in the headphones. Not show relay, I mean foldback from the microphone. So there wasn't that way for the describer to know whether their microphone was on, and it was a push button. And the way you told whether the push button was on or off was whether it was 2mm down or 2mm up. Very difficult to know whether your microphone's on or off. So those are the issues I would say with a push button. Another option is a rotary pot. Now, those appear on sound mixers. Now, the tricky thing with rotary pots are, this is a small sound mixer, and it's just riddled with these pots. Now, when a describer's trying to follow the show and deliver their description, finding the right rotary pot out of all these is tricky. It's also difficult physically, just to actually, once you've found it, to turn it all the way around. Yeah? And if you don't turn it to the right place, then the quality of the sound you're broadcasting is going to be different. So I would say, if possible, use a push fader, because with a push fader, the describer can quickly see whether the microphone is on or off. You don't really want to have to speak into your microphone to check whether it's on or off. You only want to speak when you're delivering description, and when you're delivering description, you want people to hear it. You don't want a chance that your microphone might be off. So a push fader is visually easy to see when it's on and off. Physically, very easy to actually just push that up right to the top and all the way down. Good idea at sound check to make sure that the sound level is right when you push it all the way up. Because thinking about pushing it, about 2/3 of the way, well, you're not going to get it right each time, are you? And the other great thing about a push fader, unlike the button, is it's not instantaneous. If you have time, you can ease it up. So there isn't the same prefiguring of the pop of a sudden different sound state. And you can deliver your description, ease it back down, and that just takes the edge off. So again, you're making the description a little less obtrusive. Of course, you can do it quickly if you need to, if you're going in and out really quickly. And on this sound mixer, we've made it even simpler, because we've taken these little pieces of plastic off the other channels and left them just on the two that the describers need, the one for their microphone, and the other in case they need to bring show relay level down if it's a really loud part of the show. So I think in these ways, by thinking through the describer's side, you can make a real difference to the quality of the description by helping the describer to focus on what should really be their main job of delivering the best description, not worrying about the tech. And having a good quality microphone that is positioned at a constant distance, and control of the microphone, silent control. So you're not reminding the listener all the time that they're relying on the audio description. It's just there for them when they need it. And in those ways, I think we can all try and make sure that we get that feedback for our audio descriptions, that it was great because I barely noticed it, I just enjoyed the show.